and bring our meeting to order. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Community Family Engagement Committee meeting. It is June 10th on a beautiful Tuesday, and so excited about what we have today. And so we want to share our outcomes for today, which is in partnership with local and community organizations. Definitely want to share feedback on proposals for student recognition, and we're also going to discuss cross-department or district initiatives to promote family and community engagement for today. And so I don't really have much to say. My voice is kind of limited. Thank you all for your kindness over the past month. I'm always excited, though, to be a part of family and community engagement. One of my colleagues said that this is one of their favorite committees, so and they're here today, so we're very thankful for that. I would like to have a motion for us to approve our April 15th minutes.
Madam Chairwoman, I've reviewed the minutes from the April 15th meeting, and I move their adoption.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, ayes have it. So therefore, minutes are approved for April 15th. Thank you so very much. We're going to get started because we have such amazing folks that I've been waiting to hear from for quite some time now. One of the key things about our community engagement committee that was started by our amazing Monica Johnson Hosler is that we get to really hear what's happening in real time within our communities. We also really get to hear what's happening within our district as a whole. And it gives us a snapshot of actually what the district is really doing to engage families, to engage the community, and allow them to have a voice and a seat at the table so that we can best know how to serve all of Wake County's students across the district. So I'm really excited about that today. And so first we're going to welcome Mr. Ronell Robinson. He's representing the Give Back organization, which focuses on transformative change and fostering leadership in social economics and technological. Thank you.
You got it. You got
I
it.
cannot talk today.
Technological.
Thank you, development. The articulate person cannot speak today, right? They are a STEM-focused organization that produces enrichment opportunities for students. I've seen the amazing work that they have done in community for such a very long time, and I was very excited to finally be able to get them to come and present to the board, to be able to share the awesome things that they have been doing in the past and the current things that they've been doing. So glad our calendars finally aligned. And so I would love to welcome the Give Back organization and Mr. Ronell Robinson to come and please come and join us at the table.
Hey, everybody doing today? I have two more people with me today
Okay.
to help me out.
Come on.
The other side.
So I'm Ronell Robinson, the founder of the Give Back organization. Was founded back in 2003, so we've been running for 22 years now. The reason we're here now is about career development. It was an opportunity for us to partner with Raleigh PD in the city. So Officer Crisco came to me. There was a lot of things going on back in 2016 with gangs and a lot of things with the kids. And he always seen me speaking to the young kids in the neighborhood and the community. So at that time, I was the store manager on Raleigh Boulevard for the last 23 years. I just stepped away. So he asked me two questions. How can we deter young students away from gangs? And the second question was, what do they like to do? So my thing was, we got to get them out of their current environment and put them somewhere so they can see something different. So I came up with, all they loved at that time was playing video games. So we went to NC State and asked them would they partner with us. So we created the program called, Games Over Gangs. So it was just an opportunity for them to learn how to code video games and put their feelings inside of that. So they had opportunity at the end of the camp to build a video game based on their lifestyle. A couple of different ones. One that touched me the most was, it was like a trivia question game, false or true. For him, it was, is it real or is it fiction? And one of his questions that touched me was, have I ever touched a dead body or seen a dead body? For him, that was true. So it allowed them to go over to NC State, which is less than 10 minutes away from where he lived. Something he probably would have never been able to have the opportunity to see. So for them to go to a top-notch university and be there for about 4 to 5 weeks, and don't have to worry about anything else but having fun and being a kid. So after COVID, things changed a little bit. So we didn't have the summer camp for about 2 years. So at that time, even though the camp was good, but we had some challenges in there. So when kids were able to come back, because they wasn't coding during the school year, it was hard for them to keep that knowledge and keep programming, because programming is a skill base. If you don't keep practicing, you'll lose it. So when they came back, we had to restart over. So in my mind, I had to figure out, some of these kids are not going to program. Some of these kids are not going to go coding. So how can I pivot and move them in a way that they can move on into a successful career and uplift themselves and meet their full potential? So that's when I went back to NC State. Oh, I went too far. Oh, the next one's on you. So the slide is a little bit out of order for some reason. When I sent it over, it was a little bit out of order. So Klaus, I'll let you go.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Claudius Pope. I want to say thank you for having us here. Just a little background of myself. I'm currently, I serve as the Systems Director for Community and Population Health for UNC Health. Just got into that position, just transitioned in that since September. Formerly, I was the Director of Medical Education for the Office of Scholastic Enrichment and Equity for the UNC School of Medicine. So just a background, running pipeline programs, and being an academic coach to pre-med and medical students that are working with them from admission to matriculation to graduation into the residency programs. I'm also focusing on community engagement as well. So that really transitions into the position that I currently hold. Been a partner with Mr. Robinson since 2015. I think really formally engaging with him was my role over at the School of Medicine, and just been a continuation of that. As you can kind of see, what we have here is a Scholar Excel program, and you see that's an early exposure to college careers, education and learning. Focus on eliminating barriers to employment, really want to focus on not just academic enrichment, but workforce and economic development as well. So we're doing that through college exposure, whether that's going to be a 2 or 4 year exposure to academics at the university level. Hopefully, leveraging community as well as 4-year universities. And then often also preparing them for their career readiness. Looking outside of the box and just, the basic doctor, lawyer, engineer, so it's always really about many pathways into whatever it is that you want to go to. So really unlocking the door and exposing the students to all the options that are out there. And so we're taking, again, like a holistic approach, to that. Now, as you can see, that is the immediate program with the students that we're working with, as far as taking them to UNC School of Medicine for a week exposure to the medical programs, and then a week exposure to NC State with the programming, computer programming. As you can see, is another program that is there called PACE. That is kind of our next step in the hopes of really approaching a holistic approach to, and I still talk about like health, because education and health as a holistic approach The focus on that is we often think that a lot of times the biggest and greatest barrier to our students is access to college, right? It could be financial struggles and resources, imposter syndrome, with the students transitioning. But I think what we often sometimes forget is the alienation as a first-generation student from their family and the community in which they come from. So looking at PACE, if you can educate not only the child, but then engage the parent, you're looking to bring back and make a connection, with the whole family. Now they can sit down at the table, though the student might be into a 4-year, they're looking to go to med school, but now if the parent is being educated, like it brings back that connection and the things that they can talk to. The greatest barrier a lot of times is the parent not understanding what it takes for that student to continue on to that path. Right, so a parent may not be in medical school, but if we're working with the community colleges and the students that are involved in our Excel program, and we develop a program that's an extension for the parents to go in and get connected with community colleges, what the initial focus and the planning was to focus, because of my background in medical education and dentistry. Example, parent might want to go in and be a dental lab assistant. The student is interested in dentistry. Now, they're 4 years, they're doing interns, they're connecting with dentists. Now, instead of the parent feeling alienated, they're going through a dental lab. They have a semblance of understanding of what the student is going through. Not only are they going through the dental lab program, which is around an 18-month program, we'll work to leverage some of the relationships that I have across the community with dentists, and then give the parents a internship that's while they're in school. As they're going through that, they're exposing them to dentistry. Then upon completion, then they're able to have a certification, they have the exposure, they have the experience, hopefully they can then transition into another position. Hopefully that elevates them work-wise, economic-wise, family health is better. Now it's a connection between the parent and the student. So that's what we hope to kind of do with the PACE program.
That's the same thing.
And this is just an extension, building the workforce pathways, as you can kind of see, expand healthcare access, develop career pathways. I think the next slide. And this is what I call kind of like really many pathways into not just medicine, but just many pathways to professions. Again, not just the general medicine, law school, whatever it might be, but what are those things that are inside of medicine? You don't just necessarily have to be an MD. There are PAs, there are radiologists, in law there are different positions. So this is just this goes back to the exposure piece.
So now we go into our programs. So this is the summer camp where we pivot to allow students to have opportunity to experience a lot of different things. And my thinking on pivoting was more so of allowing students to get into a career or a major before they graduate high school. Because a lot of times you go to school and you're inside a major and you wait till your junior year and say, I don't like this anymore. So now I want to change majors. So now that's going to put you in a financial bind. And it's going to probably add 1 or 2 more years to you going to school. So my thoughts were, let's get them exposed to a career, a major at an early age, and then as they're going through, we can keep building on that. So then if they want to pivot before they graduate high school, at least they know what area to pivot to. So with inside of this, NC State, they'll learn, I think in a week, 7 different STEM programs. And then also I sent you the calendar so you can see the calendar. They have a day at Cisco, a whole day, and they'll be able to speak to employees and interns while they're there and speak to different people of that nature. So then the other program we will offer in August is our Learn to Earn program. It's a financial literacy program. It's a 2-generation model where the student and the parent have to come. So whatever they are learning from budgeting, savings, and making information, they are able to go back home and reinstill that information. So they can have real conversations on what it looked like to budget inside of our house. So a lot of times we are consumers before we really even start having a job. So they know how to spend money, but they really know is money an asset or a tool? And a lot of times people think it's an asset and it's really not. It's a tool to accumulate assets. So if I can instill that into them at an early age before they graduate high school, then they'll be set to move forward and knowing how money really works. James.
My name is Jasmine Preston. I am the CEO, founder of Mentor Raising Mentors Behavioral Health Services, where we provide behavioral health services in the state of North Carolina. I myself partnered with this organization, the Give Back organization, because I saw the program as something that was much needed in the community. So what we're going to be doing, actually, myself or an assigned therapist will be providing weekly sessions with the students in the program for 25 to 30 minutes. So they get one to two sessions a week for 25 to 30 minutes. What we want to focus on, we want to teach them and educate them on how to overcome burnout, how to overcome the thought of imposter syndrome, how to focus on problem-solving skills and boost their emotional intelligence, because we understand that sometimes you will get frustrated. You will want to quit, but we want to continue and promote that you continue to keep pushing and know how to push. What we also have is that integrated approach where we focus on role-playing as far as solution-focused activities and conflict resolution. We want them to be able to engage in a program and know how to overcome a problem in a healthy way versus making poor choices. We also provide skill-building activities which are focused on like effective communication, again, problem solving, interpersonal skills. We want them to learn how to be great team players, how to focus on teamwork, how to engage with other people, how to be responsible and be accountable for their actions and stay on task, and to actually just be successful in their environment and outside of their environment. We'll also be providing wellness check-ins on a weekly basis, because we understand that mental health is real. We understand that burnout is real, that stress is real, and we want to connect with the students so that they know that they have support and resources and information that we also give them. The preventative method is we have to understand that things are going to come up. So what we want to do is we want to help them with coping skills. We want to give them the coping skills necessary for when things do happen, they know how to handle the situation without having a big blow up. You're going to get frustrated sometimes. The program is going to be a challenge for those who have never experienced anything like this before. So we want to provide those preventative methods on how you can handle your emotions when you are getting frustrated and you do want to quit. Within that, we want to change the way that they think. We want to provide a reframing model, so they don't have the I can't, but they have the I can. They don't have the I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to try because I want to see what comes out of this. I want to learn something new. And because that's what this program is about, learning something new to contribute to your environment and your society. Well, we also, excuse me, I didn't know I needed glasses until now. So we're also focused on, we're also going to focus on is equality, right? So we understand that with the environment, there are going to be students who are different on the skill level. So the skill levels are going to be different, and that may be frustrating to some. But what we want to offer is the opportunity for equality by giving you equal opportunity, by giving you equal resources, by giving you equal information and equal support, so that you can step out and have that self-determination to make something of yourself. I'm myself, again, I'm a licensed therapist, so I do hold a certification for trauma-focused therapy with children. I understand that a lot of the children may come from a background of trauma, so we want to teach them how to acknowledge it, how to understand it, how to recognize it, and how to respond to the trauma that they may have experienced while they're in the program, so that they can learn the skills when they leave the program on how to move forward and not let trauma be a barrier to their growth. We want to promote parental engagement. Parental engagement is very important because we understand that the parents have the foundation. They are the foundation of the child. So They can come to the program, but what we wind up doing is wind up sending them back into the environment that they came from, which can be discouraging. So what we want to do is we want to involve the parent on the counseling side, where we can provide family therapy, and we can also provide parental training to teach that parent how to encourage the child instead of knocking the child, how to build the child's self-esteem and build their self-confidence so that the child knows, hey, I can do this. And the parent also has skills to teach the child how to be successful in the environment that they're currently in, which also empowers a healthy mind. So my nickname is Mr. Healthy Minds. I know a lot of people probably not on the internet. I don't know if you're on Facebook, but I'm known as Mr. Healthy Minds in my community, and I promote just a healthy way of living through the way that you think and the decisions that you make. And if we can instill this into the program with the parents and the devices and the components that we have, I believe that we can have a successful program for our community.
So from community impact and school alignment, for me, over the last couple of years, majority, I think to my last knowledge, I only had 4 students that didn't graduate high school. And those 4 I've talked to recently are trying to get back into Wake Tech to get a degree or associate at some point. So I'm still in contact with a lot of the students now. Matter of fact, I was just in Charlotte and ran across a young man that was in the program, and he was working at Sam's Club, doing well. So those are the things that we're trying to do, and our measure outcomes is just trying to enroll more students and help them get to where they need to be. So it's one more piece that I'm working on that we are trying to connect Wake Tech into this program. So in the summer, instead of being 2 weeks, it'll be a 3-week program. The 3rd week will be optional because we understand every student is not going to be able to go to college. So at least we can expose them to different career paths, trade skills, even certifications that they can receive and still be able to have a sustainable wage inside of Wake County, because Wake County is not cheap right now. So that is all for us. I guess we go in Q&A. Any questions that y'all might have for us?
First, before I pivot to my colleagues, I want to say the reason to help us understand as a district to hear whom Mr. Robinson and the families that they're referencing, to give you a little bit of context, it's our families who may be the most vulnerable within our district. So I don't know if you were aware, he said he's worked for the past 23 years before he retired. It is one of our areas of Southeast Raleigh that we find a lot of activities that are not as productive as we would like for our students to be around. The things that he said about why they take the students out of this environment and place them in somewhere else so they know that something else is possible. I can speak to this particular area and the challenges that it faces. One, as a story that I never tell and people may not know, my first apartment ever was in that area with my 3 little boys. And that's a story that most people don't know. And so I know, and when I went to it with our Office of Early Learning team over in the Raleigh North area, so I've watched this gentleman firsthand have to engage with families from this community to really push and broadcast to show them a different way. This is an area of students that they're supporting and helping, that if we help students in this particular area, in areas like it across Wake County, it increases the achievement of all of Wake County. It helps with student well-being. It helps with staff well-being. Why? Because we're sharing with students a different way when we talk about the mental health challenges. So what we're talking about and being with the Give Back organization, we're talking about an organization that is taking our most vulnerable students, our most vulnerable families, showing them a different way that will work. and that has worked on numerous occasions, and how we can continue to uplift the program. And so I just wanted to give a little bit of background information to share. No, all families aren't going to stay in those certain environments, because your board member didn't stay in those environments under certain conditions. And so we know that when we have healthy organizations that can support and help, we can get outcomes that are positive. I'm one of those outcomes that are positive. My children are those outcomes that are positive. And so when appropriate, I like to share that story to let people know that people do have rough times, but they don't have to stay there when the right supports are around them. And so I just wanted to share when Mr. Robinson began to talk about what he's trying to take in. Our therapist was sharing around why it's important to engage these parents and why it's important for us as a district to do things that engages parents with all the programming and making sure that parents and students both get this, because these children have to go back home in an environment that is not like what was happening in school. And so it's tough to fight. It's tough to deal with. And I think the more that we kind of recognize that and identify that, we'll be able to support staff, to support organizations to actually do the work that helps the school altogether. So I just wanted to lay that foundation before anyone else share. Is there anyone that wants to share?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. I really appreciate you gentlemen coming and speaking with us today. I had kind of a very general question, and then one that's maybe a little bit more specific. I was keeping an ear open, and I know there's different programs, but from year to year, about how many youth do you serve? How many
For
do you?
the summer camp, it's 30 kids. It's 15 young ladies and 15 young men, and they're split up. So this year, the young ladies will start at NC State for the first week, and then they'll go on break for the week of July. And then when they come back, they'll flip-flop. So the guys will be at NC State and the girls will be at UNC. So we're trying to have a new 30 every year, so we can touch multiple kids.
And when you were talking too about like some of the development and some of the areas you'd like to see the program grow, you talk about like certifications and things like that. I know that sometimes there can be, private money that could come in to sponsor programs that look, that have meaningful results where you can show the numbers that you've shown. I know for grants and things, sometimes they'll ask if things are like standards aligned, if they track the educational standards. And I've worked with groups in the past that are doing work that's aligned with the standards, but sometimes it's tricky doing the translation, right? Being able to take the work that they're doing and then align it up to the standards. And so I didn't know if there's anybody on staff that kind of works in this area, particularly with like the career and technical education field, that if you all needed any help or assistance making sure that you can show or certify that they're aligned, if that could open some more doors for you.
So with NC State, this is the first year we partner with UNC. NC State, at the end of the program, they go through somewhat like a testing to see what they retain and information based on what the state guidelines are for them in high school. So they have that data, all I have to do is export it.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you.
No, I'll just speak on UNC. This will be the first year in a formal partnership that we work with the Give Back organization with the student groups coming in. But in my office, we ran our pipeline initiatives. We have our YSEP, MSTEP, and HSTEP program. So it's elementary, middle, and high school, students that we're exposing them to the medical education. We always have pre and post surveys that we give to the students as well as the parents. And then we also engage the school administration that the students would come from and give them pre and post kind of like survey as far as what have they observed from the difference of their students being in the classroom pre-engagement to post-engagement. So we definitely can have that information ready to provide Mr. Robinson, with the Give Back organization to show outcomes, to show sustainability, and to also help, put us in position to be approved for, further funding, and, whether it be federal, state, or private funding.
Thank you.
I myself have pre and post surveys as well of my organization to determine and measure the outcomes as far as what we're doing and if we're being effective for what we're doing. So definitely provide that information to Mr. Robinson as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen.
So from a funding standpoint, the funding for this summer, I want to say 80% is coming from WellCare, and then Cisco is another partner, which I'm still waiting to hear the information. So they will be able to have a refurbished laptop by the time they finish the program, and they can take that.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, no, as I'm sitting here thinking, I think hopefully I was answering the question, but just to kind of give you an idea, so the week that the students are over there, through our pipeline programs, our curriculum that we develop, obviously it's medical school and dental school, so they do little anatomy, they do the physiology, they do an overall component of like the human body. But the curriculum is grade appropriate, so what it is like an alignment. What is it that an elementary student, and when we say elementary, fourth and fifth graders are learning in science at this level. So they're coming to the med school, they learn about the human body, but at a fourth and fifth grade level. Then as at the middle school, we align it appropriately with grade level, and then at high school, like the same way. So it's an alignment among the state, curriculum.
And I appreciate that clarification, because that's some what I was getting at. I've done some work with some organizations that were doing STEM enrichment, and one of the things that they did is they did the pre-assessment, they did the post-assessment, but taking the assessments and sharing them, they found they were able to improve their results when they went out and they talked to like a Red Hat or a Lenovo, when they could show that alignment, exactly what you're talking about, that the topics, the standards are grade level appropriate and they hit what those learning objectives are. But sometimes when you put the program together, you may not know exactly what those keywords or things are for each grade level. And I just wanted to make sure that you all had access to anything you needed that could assist with that. Thank you.
Ms. Wood?
Thank you for this presentation. I specifically like how you all pointed out how you bring in the parents, because as we know, the impact is greater when we go beyond just the students. So I appreciate that. My question is around like what your current outreach looks like. Like what are you doing currently to get this information in the hands of families? And then even beyond that, what do you see your capacity is now and what you hope to grow to be to serve more families?
So for us to get information out, I'm part of SEV, Social Economic Vitality. I'm part of their, I'm a board member, and then I'm also over one of the subcommittees that they have. So the information is out on the Connector, Wake County Connector, that's been sent out. I'm also just partnered with the YMCA, and they share that information out. And then we share it out on our social media page.
And then as far as like, what do you foresee your capacity to serve more students? Like what?
I allow the schools, the institution, to decide upon how many students they want to have at that time. Because this program is funded all by the organization. There's no institutional funds. It's a free camp. I pay their staff to work, and then they go out and ask students, are you willing to work this summer? So it's based on what the school will be able to offer from a staff perspective.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? Dr. Amy?
Thank you so much for the presentation. And I really appreciate you talking about STEM-related fields and things that are outside of what people think about in terms of medical careers or pathways. Coming from my own experience, I'm a physician, but I didn't start off thinking I was going to be a physician. I think a lot of people, I'm a first generation, and and my parents didn't have any, didn't finish high school, right? So they didn't really coach me into that pathway, and I almost sold myself short, that I was didn't have what it takes to go into that particular field, and so it really, required some soul searching and kind of extending beyond my comfort zone to really get to there. And so I appreciate you guys are doing some of these things to kind of help the kids to go beyond their expectation, their own expectations. The question I have was you mentioned one of you mentioned about some of them did not go to college. Did you kind of explore any trends or any kind of reasons why certain people just did not, end up going to college, and is there some things that we can, you guys can do differently? Or, any thoughts?
So for most of the students that I engaged with, parents were young when they received. So that means I had to put my career on the back burner to make sure I'm providing for the family. So that's one component of that. So it's struggle and go to school and try to raise a child or provide for the child and put my career on the back burner. A lot of parents just rather, I need to provide for my kids.
That's a very real scenario. Yeah.
No, I was trying to make sure I was hearing, as far as the students not going to college, or you were referring to the
Parents.
To the parents not going to college?
The students, really, yeah. Was it
About the 3 or 4 that didn't.
Oh, so Southeast Raleigh is a little different. It's a lot of gang activity over there. So those students have eyesight of the fast life. So when you have a gentleman approach you and you can make anywhere from $100 to $1,000 within 4 hours, it trends to go that way unless somebody steps in that gap and says there's a better way for you. A lot of people don't know you can make 6 figures and be a plumber. But if they're not exposed to that, or someone steps in the gap and says, yo, this is the wrong life for you, you can have a better life, they're going to be exposed to whatever the streets show them. And that's what it is in Southeast Raleigh.
I applaud what you guys are doing, trying to do to turn things around.
I guess I'd just like also to speak on just the levels of like success, with a program such as this. A lot of times with educational pipeline programming, it's always going to be deemed success by a student that's going to a 4-year, university. Yes, primarily for, funding purposes, data and everything. We like to hear that. But just like it's many pathways into medicine, right? It's many pathways to success as well. Everybody's not a 4-year, college-like student. Does not mean that they do not have the aptitude and the higher level-like learning. It might be the first step could be the two-year certification program and going into, whatever career field would be then. So we're not only, I would like to think if you're listening and hearing to what the Give Back organization is providing the students, is not just, it is healthy minds and healthy living. That's the psychosocial component of the healthy human being. Then you're hitting the scholar. So it's the academic enrichment and exposure academically. And then you have the future professional and the workforce development, aspect. So hopefully we're hitting the students, and, holistically across the board. And then from those many pathways, it might be somebody that, they did not go into become an engineer. They went to a 2-year, got a certification, and they have gone on to be a healthy contributor to society. And it might be 10 to 15 years later that they end up in some leadership, kind of position amongst the community. Military, it could be a lot, but at the end of the day, I think we're addressing the human being in a healthy way, and they will find their own way. It might not be immediate, right immediately in the next year. It might not be in the next 3 to 4, but it could be, 6, 7, 8 years, down the line. But what I would like to think is the give back is, it's a rich soil, and the students that we are engaging with are seeds, and each seed is going to grow and blossom at its own pace. The give back is just nourishing the roots, and whenever, though it might not come up and blossom, but we know that we could, are definitely impacting, and there's a root system that is developing, and then as it is ready, whether you are a rose or a cactus, some people need a little more sun, a little more water, but each plant is going to be appreciated for its own, for its own, whatever it is, cactus, rose, vines, whatever it is. But we hope that then once you kind of pull back and have a more, and looking back on and reflecting, you see kind of just a vast field of all these different types of students that have been impacted, different types of like bushes and roses and plants that have been cultivated and nurtured through the Give Back organization.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much. Well said. I couldn't have said it better myself with that closing statement. Thank you all so very much for sharing what you do. We want to continue conversations. We've got some other things that we want to ask and share at a different time if we can as well, to make sure that organizations like yours get the necessary connections and resources that you need to continue to help our Wake County students. I couldn't agree more around the pathways. I think that our student services counselors teach our students that all the time, and our staff recognizes that everyone is not always going to take the 4-year career path, but our goal is to make sure that we create positive, holistic students who want to be productive to society and give back in their own particular way of what that looks like. And that give back can just being good parents, right? That teach their children to listen to your teacher when you go to school every day. And so I'm very thankful for that. Thank you all so much for coming, and we certainly do appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Let's go.
Thank you.
All right. That was good. Really appreciate you all so much. So next, we've got some good things coming. We've got our community partner, District C, that's going to welcome Ms. Karen Cho and Dan Gonzalez in District C. Will you join us at the table? Come on up. Yeah, come on up. The water's fine. So District C provides a reimagined internship experience that prepares students for modern work. They're going to share about the current and future partnerships with Wake County Public Schools. And we welcome you, Mrs. Cho and Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you so much. We're so excited to be here this afternoon with y'all. My name is Karen Cho. I'm one of the, or I guess I'm the only, but I am a senior programs manager on the District C team, and I have the privilege and honor every day of getting to work alongside Dan, who is our CEO and co-founder. But today, I have the privilege and honor to tell you all a little bit more about our partnership with Wake County Schools that started, I would say, in 2022 with the summer teamship programs that we've been able to provide as part of the summer career accelerators that Wake County has been investing in. And it is so cool, the stuff that we're seeing and the sorts of career-ready students that we're building through the program. So I'm excited to share a little bit more about that. And as we start,
video. It might have gotten turned off, I wonder. Oh, it's on slide 14. That's my bad. All right.
Oh, no worries. There we go. Well, yeah, to share a little bit more about who we are and the work that we do, District C is an educational nonprofit, and we are very passionate about preparing the next generation of talent for the future of work. And one of the main ways that we strive to do that is through our Teamship program, which is our flagship program. As you mentioned, it's a reimagined internship where students work in teams to solve real problems for real businesses. So we are partnering these teams of students up with the businesses that they will solve the problems for. And the real magic behind it, I believe, is that they are coached through that process by a District C certified coach who is trained in this work and is kind of writing alongside the team to show them the things that they're doing really well and what their next level of work might be, so that there is growth through this process in Teamship. There are different models of Teamship, 2 different models specifically that we provide. There's the member model, and then there's what we call the direct model. For our time today, I'm going to be focusing mostly on the direct model, and that is the program where District C is providing the sort of program administration and logistics, and that is the program, the version of the program that we've been working with Wake County Public Schools for in the last few years. So to share a little bit more about that, it's so ironic because it's summer programs, but I'm going to be talking about snow, and we barely get snow in the winter in North Carolina, but, and I mean, I'm sure y'all know that heat in North Carolina is crazy, so we would never be seeing snow here, but I want to center all of this on the snowball effect. And I'm sure y'all know, snowball effect is when something small, a small event or trigger cascades into this chain of reactions and events, and it becomes this huge snowball, right? And we believe that the most powerful things snowball. And so I want to show you all the snowball effect that we've been seeing in the last 3 years in Wake County Public Schools in 3 different kind of lenses. So we'll start with our students, and then we'll start with our communities in Wake County, and then we'll finish with our businesses as well. So starting off with our students, who are arguably the drivers of this work, and the ones that make all of this worth it. And excuse me, my eyesight is not that good, so I'm gonna pop up some numbers on my phone here while I'm going through this. But the biggest snowball, and perhaps one of the most exciting snowballs that I want to show y'all, is the number of student experiences we've been able to provide through SCAs since 2022. So if you look at this bar graph, in 2022 we reached 26 high school students in Wake County. We more than tripled that number in 2023 and reached 124 students. Last year in 2024, we reached 168. In 2025, our programs are actually starting next week, which is really exciting. And so those programs obviously haven't happened yet, but we are slated to serve 341 Wake County students. So we are doubling the number, more than doubling the number that we had last year. And this snowball is, I think, one we're really proud of because it's, individual student internship opportunities we're providing through the SCA program. And if we take a closer look actually at our 2025 numbers, just because that hasn't happened yet, something else I'm so excited about is the amount of student interest in this program. And if you all know anything about summer programs, you will know that it is so hard to get students to come to these things, just because there are other obligations and interests. And so one thing we're really proud of is the fact that we had almost 1,300 students apply and register for this program this year. Of course, as I mentioned, the total number we were able to admit was 341, but we're so excited that there is a lot of eager sort of like expectation and anticipation for the Teamship program, and we're hoping that continues to snowball in future years. But of course, like this data, high-level data is really fun to look at and is impactful, but if you all are anything like me, I really love hearing the individual student impact stories that make up those bigger numbers. And so one story I want to share is about a student named Gabrielle, who is actually the student right next to the Army officer. She's the one in the back, second from the right. Gabrielle came in for the program on the first day. She was very timid and shy. And she worked on a team that worked with the U.S. Army Recruitment Office. And so the problem that they posed to the students is, look, the Army is a very great career path that we want high school students to be thinking about. We just need your help to figure out how to message this correctly so that they see this as a possible career path for them and not just like a backup plan. So the students worked for the course of the program on understanding that problem, having conversations with those Army officers that you see in that picture, and they pitched their solutions and insights on the last day of the program. And of course, as coaches, as program staff members, we get to see a level of growth in the students from when they first come in on day one to when they leave day whatever. But there's a lot of context we don't know because we don't know what they were like, what they're like at home, what they're like in their home schools. So it was really awesome when Gabrielle's mother came to the pitch event, and she was blown away after the team pitched. And in fact, her mom was like, I need to talk to the person who ran this program. And she was telling us that her daughter is like the most timid girl you will ever meet. Does not speak up, never talks in public settings. And so to see her daughter with her team pitch insights and solutions that they created on their own to you as Army officers in front of this audience, that's such an impactful moment even for a parent to see. And something she said at the end of our conversation was she'll take this with her for the rest of her life. And like that is so powerful that Gabrielle is, of course, taking future ready skills with her, but also that she has this shell that she's been able to break open, and that sort of like personality shift is one that she can take with her back to her home school and back to the community that she's a part of. So that's really exciting. And of course, community is another part of this work, and so something that we have been really excited to see snowball in the realm of communities. As soon as I came in here, I saw this map, and I was so amazed. Like, Wake County is such a big district, as we know, and we serve lots of different students, and I'm so appreciative of the Give Back organization that talked to you about like all the different communities that are part of Wake County. And so often, some of these programs that are meant to cater for all of Wake County end up being used by a smaller percentage of students. And one thing we're really proud to see is that over the course of the last few years, we've been able to reach more of the communities in Wake County. And so if you see on this bar graph here, in 2022, we were able to reach at least 18% of the 31 high schools in Wake County. In 2023, we bumped that number up to 77%. So we reached 77, we had representation from 77% of the high schools in Wake County. Last year, that was 82%. And this year, again, the program hasn't happened yet, but we have representation from every single high school in Wake County, which is really exciting. That we're gonna be able to provide this experience for students all across the district. And we'll be providing this program at different sites, 6 different sites throughout the district, so that we can make sure it's within traveling, a reasonable travel amount for each of the students that are participating this year. And of course, this is happening over the summer. But the other piece of the community partnership here is that we have many Wake County educators that are certified District C coaches. And they obviously belong to different home schools. And so they have the opportunity to bring Teamship to their schools as part of the school year curriculum. So in this last school year that just wrapped up, we were able to provide 170 student internship opportunities through Teamship, through the member model during the school year. So these are teachers that are bringing the Teamship program to students at their school, quite often in the context of a class that they already teach. So a lot of them are CTE teachers, and if they're teaching, for example, an entrepreneurship course, they'll have Teamship as a capstone project or as a project within the course. And students, 170 students got that experience this year from high schools around the district. And as we're serving all these students, both in the summer and during the school year, obviously we're engaging lots of different businesses. So this is the last snowball that I want to show you all. And it's really exciting. So the very first year that we started SCAs with Wake County, we reached 3 businesses. So we worked with and partnered with 3 different businesses that provided the real and authentic context for this work. In 2022, that number tripled to 16 students. In 2024, we worked with 18 businesses, and then this year, we are expected to work with 27 different businesses. And on this next slide, I'll show you all a quick snapshot of some of the businesses. These are all the businesses actually that we've worked with in the last 3 SCAs in 2022 to 2024. And you'll notice lots of different names on there. Some of them are local businesses. Some of them are like local gems that have become huge monsters of organizations. And some of them are mom and pop shops. And so you'll see a lot of variety here, which is something that we aim for, as we are providing students with problems from different types of fields so that they can see what it looks like to work in different environments. And they're obviously engaging with real industry partners in each of these businesses as well. But the cool part of this work too, of course, first and foremost is the student impact, but it is so great to see how much value business partners get out of this too. You would think that, you may think that because these are high school students that these businesses are just offering their time, and to a certain extent that is true. They're giving their time and therefore their money to serve, provide a business problem for these students, but they are getting real value out of these business partner meetings and pitch events. And so last year, this is one of the business partners that we worked with at a Wake County site who said investment firms offer solutions, but they often end up in resulting in other huge sales costs. And these students, these high school students' solutions were outside of the box solutions. And in fact, we see this being true because even at last year's SCH, High Street & Co., whose logo is up there as well, they hired a student after the pitch event. They were so impressed with her and her team that the student, after the pitch event, when she went up to the business partner and said, "I'm interested in a part-time job with you this year," they said, "Okay, let's do an interview." They did a 5-minute interview there on the spot, and she's working now as a marketing intern for High Street & Co. and helping them with pop-ups all across the state. And that's just one story, but there are so many cases of business partners who have given part-time internship opportunities to students, paid internship opportunities to students, and they're really seeing the value of this work, which is so powerful too. So, like any snowball, obviously, you need to start it, and so we're so grateful, truly, for all the people in Wake County that make this possible. We have a great team, but we certainly could not do it alone, and a huge thank you to Joanne Honeycutt, who is a CTE director and is a phenomenal partner. She helps us reach these students, and we're really excited about the 341 students that are going to be able to have this reimagined internship experience this summer too, and I'm excited to see more snowball effects in the future. I know you all, obviously, too, are always out and having conversations with community members and other stakeholders, so if you all want to share any part of the work that's happening with District C and Wake County Schools, I think like the one thing that I would encourage you to take away from this is that if the snowball effect is any indication of how powerful something is, we are onto something really, really special with the Summer Career Accelerator programs, and specifically Summer Teenship. It's allowing us to build up the next generation of leaders, future leaders, right here in Wake County. We're building right into that talent pipeline, and it's so cool to see those connections happening with local businesses right in front of our eyes. So thank you all so much for partnering with us in this and for the work that you all are doing to help us reach all these students. We're really excited for next week, with a frenzy of programs.
We're excited. Thank you so very much for sharing. I remember when the program became Inception, and to see and hear what you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. I feel really bad because I was asked for my company to participate a year or so ago, and my schedule and me trying to get my assistant to put it together to present was a lot. But Mr. Hershey, I think you have a question.
A couple questions. Are these internships paid internships?
That is a great question. So the ones that we've done with Wake County have not been paid. We, for a variety of reasons, do not pay the students for this program. Part of that is because it is such a short sprint. Even in the summer, students are spending about 30 hours in these programs. And the businesses themselves don't actually get to select, specific students. So there are a few implications for why they're not paid. What we have done with some other school districts and with other partners is provide a stipend for students who participate in the program. but that comes not from District C or from the business partner, but from like the school district or extra sponsor. Even though this is a reimagined internship experience, what we're really hoping students get out of this is like the career-ready skills, and that the experience of working with a real business partner, that they're able to put that on their resume, is going to be something that helps beef up their
So,
resumes.
I get that or but, if they're providing value to companies, that's kind of my hang-up with some internships, and companies are saying they're getting value. So if a company is financially benefiting at the end of the day, now I don't know how long the 30 hours, if it's over 4 weeks or if it's a condensed week, that might change my perspective. But I'm advocating for the students because, A, some of them might need it. And so that would be another, not a concern, but a question about, are we getting a wide variety socioeconomically of students? Because that's really important. It can't just be the students that don't need summer jobs.
Right.
And if you have a student that needs a summer job, but then you are offering an unpaid internship and they're creating value for a company, how can that be righted so that student has that opportunity, can make money while providing that value to the company? That would be my challenge. I don't want to necessarily put you on the spot, but I view that as something that I would look at.
Yeah. I mean, Dan, are there additional thoughts that you'd like to share on?
I mean, it's a great point. Obviously, it's squarely in kind of the paid internship conversation that's happening nationally. Did you want to jump in?
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
I just, so you're on to something about the, like the ability of people to participate.
Right.
And where we've run nonprofit programs before, we've seen sometimes that families will say, that sounds like a great program, but my child has to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so having the stipend or something like that can be a great incentive. But there are legal issues involved too, where like a stipend just for someone's successful completion is probably the cleanest way to do it. If you set them up as actual employees, in terms of the benefits and all the legal requirements, the filing with the state and everything else, it would be a big disincentive for a lot of these companies or organizations. And sometimes, the company is getting a benefit or the organization is getting a benefit if it's like a government or a nonprofit, but they're also giving too, right? They've got to take staff time to work, to train, to come up with something, to give a good educational experience. So it is kind of a two-way street. So I think you're on to something about making sure that we could find ways to help compensate the students. I just think the model probably works better with a stipend than like a salary.
Well, either way, like I am pro the college athletes getting paid because they were generating so much money for universities, for instance. So I'm always pro worker, and to me, an intern is a worker at a company, and so to see them be able to benefit in some way, I mean, that's just my perspective on it.
Go ahead. I wanted you to finish your statement before we ask another
No
question.
worries. I was just going to come back to a point that Karen alluded to, which was the during school year program where students are doing teamship as part of a course experience, and they're getting a grade on that that's being counted towards their course credit. So it's a little bit of a different kind of angle on the paid internship conversation. The other thing I would say, and Karen alluded to this as well, when we're recruiting business partners, we're helping them develop the problem, and they have no say in the direction that the students go, who the teams are that are quote-unquote hired to work on the problem, and they may not have any say in what ultimately comes out at the end. And so there's an extra wrinkle there when you're thinking about what is the value that businesses are getting. Often they'll get great ideas that they want to implement, but they don't really have a say in what the students do to kind of get there.
Dr. Ng?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. In response to the question, I mean, I think that there is value in the experience. I think there's if I were a student in that setting, I feel like that I'm being paid by learning or the experience I receive. And so I mean, for me, I mean, personally speaking, I think that was more than enough, in terms of what I get out of it. But at the same time, Mr. Hershey has some valid points. I think the opportunities for people to participate is great. I see those snowball charts, and I wonder. I mean, you have so many people who want to apply, and you have limited slots. So it must be a very difficult selection criteria that you have to think through to decide who you would choose to be part of this. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, part of this was that there were 2 deadlines. So there was like a priority deadline and there was a final deadline. So I believe as long as you were able to make the program in its entirety, it was like a first come, first served basis. You're right though, that there's 900 some students who won't be able to participate in the summer teamship program. And actually, as part of a partnership with different organizations, Spark and C, we provide virtual teamship programs for students statewide. And so that is open now to students all across the state. And one thing that we have been doing is redirecting those students to like, hey, if you really want a teamship experience and want to get this on your resume, want to get that opportunity, it won't be this summer at Wake in this site, but it can happen virtually during the, we've been funneling them into the summer programs as well as the programs that are happening during the school year. So we do have another teamship opportunity lined up for those students, thankfully, but I believe for most of our summer programs, for the SCAs, especially in the last years, it's been just first come, first serve the students that we fill in for the slots.
So people have to jump in.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Cole?
Yes, thank you for this. It is really clear what the value and the impact is, especially with your analogy of the snowball effect, which I love. So in hearing about this, it reminds me a lot of the Wake Ed partnership that we have in their summer STEM program, but they focus primarily on STEM careers and businesses. And I noticed when of the business slides, you all have a broad range. And so as an educator who participated in that program, can you speak to what the impact is on the educator and what feedback that you all have been given from that standpoint?
That's a great question. You're asking specifically about the kind of impact or change that we see in educators and their teacher practice?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love this question. So we, from Wake County teachers to we have several coaches that are trained now across the country. We are about at 400 coaches that are trained. And what we see is a lot of teachers realizing a new way to approach their practice. One that is centered a lot more on student ownership. And that comes from kind of this coaching philosophy that we teach them. But a large part of that is the more space we make for students, actually, the more that they will do. And I think, there's a very traditional model of like sage on the stage, and that's something that we really just chop up and mix up in the teamship model, because the coach is really someone who is helping them along the way. But in many cases, the coaches, I've noticed, actually don't overlearn the problem scope. And I think the reason they do that is because they want to give students as much ownership in where they're going from this starting point. The more that a teacher knows about a problem scope and has their own ideas, the more it's like, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about that idea? And it really is so cool to see teachers embodying the District C coaching philosophy. And a big part of that is something that we call like teach to fish. So teaching students the process behind how to get to the next step, but not telling them exactly what that next step might be or what the solution might be. It might be a tool or a method that students can use to help converge on what they should do next to get a better understanding of the problem. They may provide a list of tools in our District C toolkit, but they aren't telling them, I think the problem is this, what do you think? So I think there's a lot of shift from teacher-led experiences to student-owned process that teachers are saying.
Oh, sure.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
And then finally, thank you for that. Finally, the information that you presented about you all touching like 100%, that is amazing. What does similar to my question for the last organization, what does your outreach currently look like, and how do students get this information in their hands?
Yeah, that is a great question. The student recruitment puzzle is one we have been trying to figure out for a really long time, and I think we're still figuring it out. One thing that we've seen work really well is individual outreach at school sites. And so one way we're able to do that is that we have District C certified coaches at these schools that are recruiting their students. And that is a much more credible form of recruitment than someone straight from District C that students don't have a relationship with. They'll know Miss Brown down the hallway, and when Miss Brown says, Billy Bobby Joe, I think you're going to be great for this program, and here's why, Billy Bobby Joe is more likely to sign up. So I think that's one of the bigger successes that we've seen. We've also launched some new initiatives this year to do Facebook targeted ad campaigns, so we've tried that. I think the hard part, which is the part that we're in right now, is we have all this interest. How do we get the students who signed up to actually come to the program? And so that's something that we're trying to figure out. We've sent some swag bags. That's the first year that we've done this. But we're hoping to get more investment from students so that they feel like they're part of something bigger. And we're wondering if this swag bag postcard deal in the interim, between the registration to program start time period might help. So we're trying a lot of things, but I think the targeted school outreach at the different school sites is one really big one, and I think the targeted ad campaigns as well probably helps a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon, for that question. I just want to put an extra plug in and say, Superintendent Taylor, what I've been hearing, and the reason why I have to say your name is what I've been hearing from this organization and other organizations that we come with community engagement, we find that when organizations have access to our schools, we get better outcomes, not only just with our students, but with our society. I know that security is important, is our number one priority when providing access, but I would really love to see what it looks like with us as a district to make sure how are we ensuring that these programs are directly getting into the hands of our students. How are our counselors engaging? Where's their book at the school, that when kids or parents, I know other parents are like, I need my kid to do something, my child needs something. Where is that book at that school that says, here are the organizations based on districts that are over in your area, so that we can get to it? Because I know that students are looking for things to do, parents want things for children to do, but what are we doing as a district to make sure that at the school-based level is really getting into the hands of the students? Because I don't know how many students are actually watching our meetings because they're supposed to be in class right now. And so how are we supporting our staff across the district with making sure that they have viable information to present to children? I've had multiple students contact me directly saying, Ms. Toshiba, I need some scholarships. Where do I go? What do I do? They shouldn't have to be calling their board member to ask them, because it really should be in their counselor's office, a book that tells them where to go, and staff should be sharing to them as counselors where they need to go. So I would really love to see that if we've gotten participation on this level, how many other families with everyone's different backgrounds would really participate or at least know about where to go if we make sure that this is something that's visible within our school bases, and how do we cooperate with our principals to make sure that things like this happen. Thank you so very much for coming and sharing the great impacts that you're having on our students in Wake County Public Schools with District C. We appreciate all that you do. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. So next, one of the things that we've been waiting for, I don't know if Student Services have been waiting for it, but we greatly appreciate Dr. Norfleet and Dr. Petterford for being able to come and share an update about our Spotlight on Student programming. As you may recall, back in April, our meeting, we shared ideas on how to integrate student recognition events and community engagement. And so today, we're now going to welcome both Dr. Norfleet and Petterford to share proposals that they have developed in response to that discussion that we had back in April. Our desired outcome is that we can align on a strategy for the 25-26 school year is what we've requested, so that we can support our Spotlight on Students in a broader, more effective sense. Thank you so very much for joining us. You've got it.
Okay.
I'm excited.
Well, thank you guys for allowing us the opportunity to come before you. The bulk of the presentation is going to be with Dr. Norfleet, but I did want to do a little bit of level setting. First thing is, I want to make sure that you guys are aware of sort of the purpose behind the Spotlight Award as it was in its inception. And it really is to recognize students in grades 3 through 12, and really around the issues of confidence, kindness, strength, and determination through adversity. And you see that in the stories when you hear that from the schools that are working with the students. Every school site can nominate a student, and we're really trying to celebrate personal and academic achievement. And then really highlighting the resilience that those students bring to the table in their perseverance. So the current process, and although it says CAS department, it's really the school counseling department that really manages this particular program. And they first confirm all the dates in terms of setting up the school sites when they come to the board meetings. Also scheduling information and selection criteria and sharing that information with the schools. Compiling all the information. And when we say the information, schools do a write-up, an initial write-up. Our team goes through that write-up to make sure it's FERPA compliant, that we're not saying things that we shouldn't be sharing about students, and working with the school and the families to make sure that what's in that statement is what they would want said about their child. We also collaborate with the Office of Translation and Interpretation Services in ordering their plaques, but also in the presentation. We send reminders to school to make sure that everybody shows up and know when to be there. We set up the boardroom. We also have the counseling team coordinates and implements the program from that perspective. And schools are selecting the student and reminding folks when to come and to be here. So this was your ask in the last meeting from what we gleaned from the conversation, is taking a look at developing a regional format. And so you'll see a couple options around that. That would also include community partners, also looking at additional student categories that you may want that doesn't duplicate what the school might already be given. We might have to have some alignment conversations around that if there's certain things that schools are given that they might want in this venue as opposed to their own awards ceremony. But we don't want to take away from what schools are doing. And then making sure that we have several events throughout the year, and also including some quarterly senior spotlight. So those were the things that we heard. And so the team went back and they have come up with some recommendations for you to take a look at. And then we'll have some further discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to start by presenting to you option 1 after team discussion and taking in all of the factors that were mentioned earlier in regards to your wish. We looked at possibly having a format where each board member would have their own region to recognize students that were selected by the schools. This would put it on a larger scale and would require that we need probably more of an interdepartmental staff, a staff of volunteers to support the regional teams, and of course, it would be several schools at one particular location. Our current team that kind of coordinates everything, we would be willing to train those schools or the assigned regional teams on presentation structure as well as the overall process and making sure that the format would run smoothly. And we would also continue to manage the process of obtaining and vetting the student information that is submitted by the school, as well as ordering the award plaques for students. This would also be in collaboration with community partners, that we incorporate a community resource fair. I know we had discussions about that when we were last year in April. Schools would also have the opportunity to have a table set up to represent or highlight their site and or their region, as well as this particular option would calls for a increased budget line item to support the additional regional programming costs. So for option 2, we've paired this with the regional recognition in regards to multiple regions being placed together to allow for 4 or 5 events. Again, we would need the interdepartmental staff because this would be on a larger scale and would require more coordination. Again, our team would be there to train the school and the regional team on the structure and process, as well as we would continue to manage the process of obtaining and vetting the write-up and ordering of the plaques. And then our last option was to continue with our current spotlight on students' process and include an additional calendar date. We did have this particular year, due to some scheduling conflict, I think with the transition of board members, we had to cancel our original December 2024. And so when we canceled that particular presentation, it made the remaining dates a little heavy. So we were up to about, I want to say about 37 students for the last 3 sessions. We also included in here our proposed date and times. Now, since we submitted this particular schedule, we do realize that there has been some change in your overall board planning schedules beginning in December, so we would actually need to look at revising these dates. But if we went with your desire for a regional format, we are suggesting 4 dates there. If we continue with the current format, because of the number of schools that we also have due to opening for the 25-26 year, we would request that we schedule an additional date. So instead of there being 4 dates, we would have 5 dates. Are there any questions?
Chair, you want to start?
I can back clean up if you want.
All right. Okay. So thank you, first of all, for sharing this. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. I guess I'll start with me, and I guess you're asking what our recommendations are and our options. I preferably would prefer option 2 with the paired BAC regional recognition. And I would really just like to hear what does that look like, and then have you already discussed amongst yourself of what the paired regions would look like that you thought about? Have you thought about which regions you would connect together for us to do this? Because clearly I don't think you're saying that we are going to have 9. You're
No. We would make the connections
Right.
for you, and we would have to take a deeper dive look at the locations because we want to make sure that we consider travel time for
Right.
parents
That's-
as
yeah.
well. And looking at the number of students and also the facility in which that would be able to hold a larger
Right.
number.
Great. Chair Hagan.
And so if I can, one of the things is that if you have 9 districts and you're trying to divide it up evenly, it doesn't fit. But one of the things that I can say is unique about my district, 7, that spans here is that just because of the dynamics of Wake County, let me step out of the way, I really have two different districts that are pasted together. I have this district and I have this district with Umstead Park and the airport in between. So for me, half of a district could go in with 2, and then another half could go in with another 2, and I'm fine with that. The students, and if you're talking about travel time, if you're talking about ease for the families, and a lot of the things that we talked about, it would be so much easier for like my elementary school students on this side of the district to attend an event over here regionally than to come all the way to North Raleigh and vice versa. For the folks at Lead Mine and Barton Pond in York, it's a long haul to get over here to the Cary side. So I'm happy if mine's split to make it all fit.
And Chair Hagerty, is it fair to say that possibly were you all looking at with student assignment to help with determining what that pairing looks like so far that we can look at so that they have a deeper dive of what proximity is based off what Chair Hagerty just indicated? Because, you know, the same for me. I live all the way in Northeast Raleigh. It makes a little bit more sense for my students in my side to go to District 1 stuff or District 3 because we live closer to there, because we're right there off Millbrook, right? Or right there at the top of Capitol, versus everyone in more in the Southeast Raleigh region, downtown, makes more sense that they may participate a little bit closer to Mr. Hershey's side. So I agree with Chair Hagerty that it may be a breakup within our districts, so to speak, within that region, and I would probably say it's more in line with the proximity to the schools of where they are, and grouping, saying your date is going to be this or that, that it makes more sense than necessarily saying it's an actual based off region by our district numbers, if that makes sense. Chair, Mr. Hershey, and then Ms. Edmonds.
I'm in 100% agreement. I would not do it by BACs at all. I would just scrap that. The one thing I am interested in finding out, though, depending on how it's done, is the cost. Only because we go through budget seasons, I want to make sure that we're not adding something that's not sustainable. As, you know, what's the, I don't know the cost of the awards, if it increases, depending on where you go. So I think that's really important certainly for me to know whenever you come up with a kind of a firmer option. But I'm definitely in agreement with Ms. Rice around there's no reason to do it by district, do it by the grouping of schools.
Ms. Evans?
I'm kind of in the same boat as Mr. Hagerty with my district. I consider I have sort of my Apex Holly Springs side of schools, which is also unincorporated Raleigh, like Penny Road, Oak Grove, are not close to Olds Elementary, Washington, Vernon Malone, which are also mine. So I actually, my BAC chair and I work really hard to alternate my BAC meetings so that some of them are over toward the Holly Springs side of the district, and then the next meeting is always closer to the Raleigh area. And I love the idea of option B, not necessarily tied to BACs, but that regional component is really exciting to me because other than the spotlight, the way we do it now, and graduations, those are the only two exceptions. I so rarely get to be in community outside of my own district, and so I'm really excited to do that, and I appreciate you bringing that to us. One other comment, if I may, about the community component that, for me, when we had that discussion, just to reiterate, it was about we need our community to support the Wake County Public School District now that parents have so many options, and we just need to make sure that these
whether it's business or community members or what have you, that non-parent community members see just the incredible achievements of our students and what our educators are doing with these students. And that was just, I just wanted to reiterate what that meant to me, and the importance of them being included in these events. Thank you.
Thank you, I'm sorry, Dr. Ian and Mr. Hershey.
I think I'm in agreement with the other folks about the not so much the BAC or the combination of BACs, but the regional aspect of things where it makes it easier for the families to get to these special recognition meetings. And in terms of the BAC, I think it's a great opportunity for advertising about the BAC to the community, because I think I've had, it's the same people that comes to the BAC meeting over and over again, and I have a hard time getting new blood in. And so I think this is a great opportunity to have some parents that come to a meeting that's held at the school, that say, hey, we can have a booth, a table set up that say, okay, this is what a BAC means and what the kind of meetings we have to educate to the community what we're doing. And so I think this is an exciting opportunity to kind of synergistically build each other up.
So I just wanted to follow up on something Ms. Edmondson, which I thought made me think of this, and this can be kind of up to the board, of course, is, having it in different areas allows us to invite commissioners and counselors and that sort of thing.
Yep.
It's a great opportunity for them to come and shake hands too and see our schools and be in them and see where we need work and where things are going great.
Thank you, Mr. Hershey. I was going to follow along in those lines that some of our mayors and council people enjoy when we collaborate, and since it's not a consistent thing, but may like to add it to their spaces as being available, because it's about the same size, so to speak, as their council chambers on off days like that. I think that as a board, we're really about collaboration, and the more collaboration we can get with our other municipalities, we have 12 of them, right? I think so. Then it makes it easier when we try to do other things in business across the district. So it's just an opportunity, if you guys can see fit, to see what that looks like with the Office of Community Engagement as well. I know that we've already worked on some of those partnerships that may be open and available. I know in my days of community advocacy, I actually hosted at all the municipalities, brought together with my nonprofit with Closing Achievement Gaps. I partner with all the municipalities across District 1 and hosted Wake County schools coming in and sharing academically what we needed to do to help families. So those are opportunities that I know things change, but it's strong possibilities. I think the partnerships that we have now may be willing to collaborate. Ms. Gordon, I'm sorry.
No worries. I fully support option 2 as well, and like my colleagues have suggested, that we pair it more with the proximity of schools, because my region, of course, is very long. And I go from like the bottom of Raleigh, Southeast Raleigh, all the way up into, or reverse, the bottom Fuquay Marina all the way up into Southeast Raleigh. And so that would help. And also to expand on what Board Member Edmonds has said about the community piece. I think my idea of it was to be more community-oriented and community-focused. So it allows us to go into the community, and so that the community isn't coming here to central office. But also, if we're doing it by proximity, it allows us to cross into another district. And when we're thinking about student assignment and families being able to see outside of a magnet fair what our schools have to offer outside of just magnet schools across the district, I think that would be extremely beneficial.
Absolutely. Chair?
So, Madam Committee Chairwoman, I will say, in listening to everyone around the table, I think we've gotten pretty good consensus that we like the regional model. That, you know, having 4 events spaced around the county, not by BAC area, but by, you know, proximities that sort of make more sense, whether it matches up with the area superintendent areas or just geographically looking at the map, what's going to be the most proximate for families. That seems to be, I think, the consensus that we're arriving at as a recommendation. I like the idea of inviting other public officials or other people in the community. There were 2 other points. One that Mr. Hershey just amplified. I want to make sure we get it where other people hear it too. But one thing that we talked about where these events could play another role, and I didn't hear a lot of conversation about it, is on the community outreach side. And where we do have resource providers, the types of folks that we brought to our community engagement summits, that when we've had events at schools like the State of the State, or sorry, the State of the Schools, and we've had some of the booths, having just some of those, especially if they're regional providers in that region, I think could be, again, just another good opportunity as people are coming, getting ready for the event. So please, I don't want to lose focus on that. These won't be regular board meetings. And so because of that, they don't have to have a quorum. They don't have to have regular meeting notice. So we have more flexibility. You know, I think if we have people attend, we could have more than 5 board members attend as audience members, and I think that's fine. But then if we're keeping it where it's not on a scheduled board night, Mr. Hershey had pointed out up here that sometimes a lot of these community officials also had meetings Tuesday nights. And so we could really increase our attendance perhaps by moving them around on other days of the calendar other than those Tuesdays. And so other than that, I think we've got a pretty good direction. Is there other things that you thought?
I agree. Dr. Eames, really quickly?
Yeah, one aspect too, that I'm sure you guys are thinking about in terms of translation services to be offered in all these places. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just want to remind you.
I think that was in one of your slides, right? That's part of what you all do, is the transition services. Thank you all for hearing us.
I'm not the
Yes,
table, forgive me.
it's okay.
I just want to ask a couple of questions. I think what you are suggesting is a great idea, and I think we can certainly get with the Office of Student Assignment. That's probably a good way of thinking about exactly where are the best places to be strategically. Wanted to get clarity around, do you want to give recommendations as once we determine the locations of who you want to invite in those environments? I guess what I'm wondering is if we give you a heads up prior to, here are the events, here's the locations, then we can get collaboration with you about who we would invite to those events at that time. Does that make sense?
I think that's a great idea. Not only just that, even our business communities, things like that. I think the more exposure we give Wake County Public Schools to show what we do and how we do as you expand the categories as well, I think, outside of just sharing the synopsis of the student, I think expanding maybe, I don't know, a category where it's academics or what well-being, or just showing how our students are thriving and just giving that picture and that glimpse. So what do you guys think? I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think having an opportunity to bring it back and get some feedback, I think, is important. I just want to make sure we keep the spotlight
on the student.
On the students, right? And if you open it up, I don't want it to be like a photo ops for, I'll pick on the people in my district. If I get like town council officials from one area coming all the way across the county. I mean, it's an inspiring story. It's great, but it really should be about that community, and making sure that the invitations are appropriate, especially, if it's more intimate with the family and friends of those students. I don't want us to lose that.
Correct.
Okay, and I thought when you asked that we were referring to the folks in that community with an invitation. That's what I heard.
I just wanted to confirm
Okay, yeah,
that.
because businesses and other people or municipalities are that community. I think that's what I heard. Is that what you were
Yes,
saying? Okay,
absolutely.
Michelle.
I just want to
Okay.
make sure that we're capturing the
Right.
people in that environment that you think are important as well.
Right, and so I don't think it's, like Chair Hager says, it's a huge expansion, but for certain ones or whatever, we might share, because we see our municipalities and other officials come out to our graduations and things like that to celebrate our students. So yeah, just a small share would be great. You have more questions?
I think that's about it. Did you have something?
I did have
Yes, Ms. Parker.
two more. One, I was interested in hearing your opinions about, would you be open to a phased-in approach in terms of the expansion of the wards? Like the first thing that we talked about was making sure we had Spotlight, which would be no cost, because we currently do that. Bringing in the seniors, of course, would not be a cost. But any expansion after that, we might need the team to go back and have some conversation and take a look at would there be any additional costs, and to make sure we're not stepping on the toes of schools with
Right.
their own award ceremonies.
Right, that's fantastic. I think for the sake of the $40.3 million that we just got, we need to stay within our scope for the moment, and let's look at maybe 26, 27 year might look like with expanding beyond that, since
We'll have
we're
more
doing
insight
something
as well
different.
as to how this works.
Right, and I think that you all have done an amazing job with this over the years. I think that as we take graduate steps, and maybe next year, Dr. Taylor might ask for $60 million, and we might get it from our amazing county commissioners, and so that we might see what that looks like with expansion. But I think for now, my suggestion would be, and my colleagues, I don't know if they agree or disagree, let's keep our spotlight in essence as the formalities of what we are already doing, but we just want to expand it to community. So I think our focus is to, I would love to see an increase of marketing to share with families at the school-based levels to come out as a region, but keeping our model intact the way that we already have it. Ms. Edmonds.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, we got one more presentation. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Along that line about keeping the model, I know that for the students, maybe some students might be intimidated when they come to this space and we're all seated up there. But at the same time, for families and those, it's a big deal, I think, for their child to be recognized in front of us in a very formal way. So I would hope that we would keep some of that formality. I don't know what that looks like versus us just sitting in the front row of an auditorium. Because to me, it doesn't have that recognition of the Board of Education honoring the student for their achievements.
I think that's a great point, and we would have to take that into consideration once we establish what the location will be.
Right.
Whether it's a high school, whether it's an elementary school, because the facilities may look a
Sure.
little different. But absolutely, yes. Thank you.
And
Yes, Dr. Petty.
just from experience, I've put on great senior awards programs, so
Okay.
when I was the dean, so we can make sure that it happens in an appropriate way.
Thank you so very much. I think that you guys have done an amazing job with getting this back to us in such a short time. I think that we have a consensus that this school year, 25, where are we at, 25, 26? We have a direction where we're going, and I believe, are we coming back one more final time as we move forward, or the next thing we'll know is just the dates of where we are? I think, do we have direction? I don't know about, team, I think we have a great direction of where you all are going. I don't,
We'll share with you dates, locations, and we can.
as it happens, but we know where we're
We
at.
can get feedback. as
You
it
guys did the task. Thank
And
you.
I just want to make sure I'm clear. Spotlight and seniors, or just Spotlight?
You said there's no cost
There's no cost to add the seniors.
to add the seniors. I think that it's important that we highlight our seniors and show them support as they go out there into this great big world. I think that if you all feel the same, that you want to do that, then I think we got thumbs up from every, so yes, please do both if you desire.
I think it would be great for the younger kids to see what
Yes.
the seniors are doing.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next up, Dr. Burton. Come on down, the price is right. Right? She's gonna share with us a reflection on this year's district cross-departmental work to promote family and community engagement through professional learning and events such as the summit that we participated in. It was fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Woodson, you're amazing. And so I'm grateful to hear about your outcomes in the summit. So the floor is all yours for the next 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon. All right, I am honored to be with you all this afternoon to share the reflections on this very recent work. And so I've had the pleasure to sit this afternoon and to hear all of the wonderful community partners and what your vision is around Student in Spotlight and engaging the community in a different way. And so it's fitting that we end in this place this afternoon with the work of the District Family and Community Engagement Committee. So I will begin this afternoon just sharing with you that as the chair of the district committee, it is always my focus and top of mind that as we do this work, we are always reminding our committee members as well as our partners from the community and our schools that all of our work is grounded in the family and community engagement pillar, as well as aims 6, 7, and 12, ensuring that we are providing clear, accessible, and consistent information, that we are empowering our families, and that the resources that we share are building strong relationships and promoting that well-being that we speak about, and that is an expectation of our board per our strategic plan. So, the work again this year began last fall with our professional learning series that built up to the summit. It was important for us to get that momentum going before a big event. We wanted to build the capacity in our district staff to learn first about what does the research tell us effective family and community engagement is. So we engaged in a monthly professional learning series, and so what I wanted to highlight for you specifically was how we marketed that. And so what you see here is a snapshot of each month's speaker that began last fall. And so you see we worked very closely with our wonderful communications team to ensure that through principals messaging, through employee staff news and community messaging, that we were able to share who the speaker was, their bios, links to their pages, research about them, so any participant would understand who the speaker was and what they would be learning about. And so the first 3 that you see here were the speakers for October, November, and December. And the quote that you see on the slide is just from one of our participants from the November session, who just simply said, "Thank you for sharing your story and inspiring us to be more for our students." And so that was indicative for me and feedback for me as chair for our committee's work moving forward, that this work is impactful and that our staff who is engaging in this see it as inspiring to do more. So the final 2 sessions in this series were these 2 here. And so I'll point you to the March session for Dr. Joyce Epstein. I will share that she is one of the top gurus in family and community engagement across the nation. Participants on the call, some of them have done doctoral studies around this work, and so some of them came to that session specifically because they know her body of work. And so the quote that you see on the slide here was from one assistant principal here in the district who simply shared with her when she concluded her presentation that it was such a pleasure after reading so much of her work to finally meet her even virtually because she is such a guru in this field. And so the sessions were just so awesome and so rich in discussion. As I talked with each of the speakers prior to each of the series components, I told them that it was important that they come not only sharing the research, but with practical strategies, because our people wanted to leave with what to do next. And so they had an opportunity to about 60 minutes of sharing the research, and then we would engage in Q&A. So they did have opportunities to really engage and ask questions that would inform their work moving forward. So this brings us to the summit that was held in April, on April 26th. So wonderful event, and in the photo there you see Dr. Taylor, and I believe that is Leesville Road. Was it is Briar Creek? Yes, that's Eric. Yes, that's Briar Creek. And so they came dressed alike and ready to participate. I will share that the attendance and registration for this year's event went up from last year, so kudos to the committee and communications and all of the folks that engaged to make this summit possible. So just a few stats for you percentage-wise. We wanted to kind of break down for you who came, who participated, and so you see about 3% of the registrants were community partners, 74% family members, 7% school teams, 10% school staff, but then 6% were multiple affiliations, which just means that in that 6%, there were people who might have been both school staff, may have been on a school team, may also be a family member, and could have possibly even been a school partner. So very diverse in the attendees for the summit this year. So again, very pleased that the attendance was very diverse. That was a goal of the planning committee, that the summit was not one note and that the attendance did not represent one note. And so goal accomplished, as evidenced by the registration numbers noted here. This year, new to the summit weekend, was a Friday evening kickoff at a community partner, Marbles Museum. Harden Engelhardt from Marbles Museum is on our district family and community engagement committee. When we reached out to her, she did not hesitate to allow us to use this space for the kickoff. A wonderful, wonderful event. There were performances from students and community partners, and there were families doing song and dance, and there were Wake County Public School System academics departments represented to tell families about what we do. But more importantly, families were engaging and just having a really good time to prepare for Saturday's event. So really pleased that we were able to add that addition to the summit weekend. So moving forward, this slide is just a representation of what I really wanted to highlight for you today was the community showcase piece. More than 30 tables were represented from our community resources, WCPSS departments, and sponsors. What was different this year was that we really worked hard in utilizing the space that we had to put community partners, WCPS, and sponsors together in one space. So when you walked around the space, you had the opportunity to mingle with the sponsors, the community partners, and WCPSS staff. And so the feedback that we got from people about that was that it was really, really nice not to be separate. The community partners felt like it was really good to be sitting next to a Wake County Public Schools department and to talk with them about what they do. And so it was just this buzz of natural energy happening all the time throughout the building. It was simply amazing to have more than 30 of those in that space. We added new this year. I know we're all familiar with TED Talks. So in addition to regular breakout sessions, some of our community partners engaged in 15-minute, what we called Ignite talks. And so that added a little something different for families who may not want to sit through an entire breakout session, but just wanted to learn a little bit more about what was happening. So some examples of what's pictured here is, of course, Marbles. Then there's the North Carolina Society for Hispanic Professionals, Strawbridge Studios, and then Stuart Gordon with appointed to lead, and then our own Counseling and Student Services is represented in that photo as well. All right, so feedback is always critical to improvements and moving forward and making things even better. So after the summit, we reached out for feedback. What I will share with you is we not only wanted to know what folks thought that attended, we wanted to know perhaps if you were not able to attend, what might have been that barrier. So we asked that question as well. So attendee feedback on a scale of 1 to 5. Did we feel prepared to attend? 4.4. Was the time valuable to you? 4.1. Would attend again? 4.2. So fairly high ratings for attendee feedback. Non-attendee feedback, 50% had other obligations. It's the weekend, it was in the spring, lots of things are happening. Public transportation unavailable. Needed childcare to attend. What I will tell you about public transportation unavailable, we did do our research there, and we did confirm that the location of the summit was on the bus line, but the closest stop may not have been as accessible as we may have wanted, so that's feedback, of course, to us for future planning. And then the committee had some questions around what is accessibility? Just because the stop may have been accessible, could there have been other barriers to families' accessibility to get to that bus line? So there are some things there that obviously we can take from this piece of feedback and moving forward. And then childcare. This year and last year, we did consider some community partners. We talked to the YMCA, we talked to other agencies that do childcare, and we just weren't able to ever work anything out for liability reasons with being able to provide childcare. So that's something that in the future we'll continue to work on, having this piece of feedback. All right, so leaving you with just a few final quotes and thoughts from the feedback, directly quoted from some of the feedback that participants gave. So in this picture here, this is Missy Tesserman, who was one of the speakers, and Missy was the National Teacher of the Year for 2024. And so feedback coming from her session was the quality of the speakers were engaging and inspiring content. And then this is a photo of our principal panel that we added this year. And some feedback here is that the main speaker, we are inferring that they're talking about our keynoter, was awesome, and that of course they liked the principal panel. And then this picture was taken at the end of the keynote. The room was dark, and we had these little, what do you call it, the glow lights, the little glow sticks. And it was just an awesome moment. And this person is saying that this was their first summit out of the 2 that we've done, but they wouldn't change anything. The only thing that they would ask is that they would like to see more in attendance, and that they believe every school would have benefited. I agree. And this is a picture of the keynote speaker who was making the point here that the more we pour into our students that have muddiness around them, that the more we pour into them, we can brighten their worlds and we can clear up some of that muddiness. So it's just an awesome depiction of sharing that in a way that people could see his message. And they just talked about the format of the day here. And this is a picture of our Wade County Public School Indian Education Coordinator talking with a family member here, and again, pointing out they loved where the tables were, where they could talk to people, offering various programs. And then, this is my favorite, because our keynote had a audience member who was a student to come up and help him with his presentation. But the quote is what we are aspiring to do as a committee, and that is to further this work. And so this participant said they would like for the same speakers and presentations for the entire staff of Wake County, and they think it should be offered as a welcome back and a mid-year refresher. So this speaks volumes, I think, for the need and the ask of our community, our school-based community, and our community at large, to desire coming together, being in a place and a space where we learn together, and where we demonstrate unity and oneness. And that was the goal of this summit. It was the theme of this summit, to demonstrate that unity. Based on the feedback and the quotes here, we set out to do that, and we are looking forward to the next and excited about what is next for this committee's work and the district's work and the ask of what you all see the continued vision of family and community engagement for this district to be. But we are super excited about what's next. Our committee met last Friday. We're meeting this Thursday to gather some data around what all departments are doing so we can level set. We are super excited about this very important work, and I am thrilled to have the opportunity to lead it. So thank you.
Well, Dr. Burton, I just want to tell you, I had an amazing time at the summit, okay? I can agree, by living on that side of town, I can understand a parent talking about the transportation piece. I can get that, but I love the fact that you all see that and your recommendations and the next steps you'll take. I would like to see for our summit this year that we dive deeper into marketing, leveraging more partnerships, maybe, using some of our partnerships for folks to be able to get on the news and share that the summit is actually happening. I know that those are opportunities and things that we can do, but I think that our morning shows and partnerships that we have should be able to leverage for us to share when we're having major events like that are community-based and oriented and shouldn't cost anything. And so I just want to tell you all thank you for a great job. The speaker was awesome. I was there holding my glow stick. Thank you very much. And it was really great and fantastic to see. So I hope next year, for those who weren't able to participate, that you'll be able to come out, because it was really great to see. But I just really want to see, I concur with this statement. We have to engage more families, more staff in particular, to be able to hear these speakers speak and to share, so that they can feel empowered at the school-based level to know that this is what the district thinks that we should be doing at our school-based level, and so that they can empower themselves to share with families. I don't know if anyone else had anything, but I just need to get that out. Ms. Portman.
Yes. I did not get a chance to attend. I think my son had his first prom that night, so I apologize. But I do want to recognize the hard work that went into this summit, and how much appreciation that I have for it as a parent in this in Wake County Public School System. I agree with Board Member Rice, Chair Rice, around the marketing piece. I can say, I know, as for me, and I have 3 children in the district, I did not see a lot of visibility coming home from my children's school, who tend to be very, communicative schools. So I would agree with that. Also, I just want to make sure that that next year we are moving with a lot of intentionality around understanding what parents need to know as far as like the breakout sessions, like what types of sessions are parents telling us that they want or they need, and that we are being intentional about meeting those needs, whether it's around the AAA team. I know that they've had some discussion around, but I want us to be very careful that we are not transactional and just check the box as far as, we have this great community engagement summit, everybody come out, but it being really about the shared leadership piece between the district and parents.
Thank you for that. And we will continue to utilize our Panorama survey data to make sure that we are crafting sessions based on that parent voice, as well as the survey data from the actual summit from this year to make sure that we are listening to that family voice and crafting sessions based on what our families are saying they would want to hear. And many of the sessions this year at the summit were based on similar feedback, based on the feedback from the families. So we will continue to do that.
Dr. Ng, and then we'll close out.
Yeah, thank you. Real quick, I also was not able to attend, but I would love to attend next time. One thing that I was, maybe a suggestion is having some kind of a discussion on transitioning to kindergarten, especially for our kids with special needs, and as well as the whole process of seems like a lot of parents don't know what's going on, how to do the steps of student assignment, some of the practical things that the parents need to know. So some of the timelines that we need to discuss, and so maybe having something to kind of give them some concrete information.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you all so very much. We look forward to, Dr. Burton, we'll have to bring you back another time for a little bit more in-depth discussion. We apologize. We've gone over for our next committee meeting. If everything is good, meeting adjourned. Thank you for all. Thank you.
Thank you.